Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab podcast. My name is Dogg, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you for another episode of the podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us and helps the bands and artists and music festivals that we feature. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. So today we are live from the Hampton Inn in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Thank you, Hampton Inn, as always, for the wonderful accommodations. And we are here because of the Let's Go Music Festival. This is the sixth year that this festival has been happening. Liz and Chris, who are brothers and sister, started this festival during the pandemic after seeing a festival in San Diego called Kaboo that got them excited about festivals and about bringing their own festival to their hometown, which is outside of Annapolis, Maryland, if you're not familiar from a national perspective. So we got media passes and 2-day passes for the festival to be able to cover it. So check out our social media pages. Got some great shots from the bands last night and some good videos that we will post as well. But in the meantime, let's talk about the fest. This is our Let's Go Music Fest Day 1 recap. Here we go. So it's about 2 hours from our hometown. So we got down here probably about 2 o'clock. The festival gates, I think, opened at 2 or 3, with the first band being School of Rock. But before all that, so yeah, we checked into our hotel first, grabbed some lunch, and then moseyed our way to the festival. And it is at the Anne Arundel Fairgrounds. And so if you remember, we went to the Green River Music Festival last year up in Western Massachusetts, and that was also at a fairgrounds. But what was different from this was you didn't really see the agricultural stuff at the festival itself. Near the parking lots and on our way there, we saw some definitely, fairground buildings, stuff like that. But the festival itself is pretty much just in an open, grassy area. And you'll see in the pics if you look at our social media pages to, see what I'm talking about. But very open space, not a lot of shade for GA. Thankfully, with our media passes, we were able to have GA Plus, which they did have a really nice sized tent with fans, high top tables, their own bar, like Adirondack chairs. It was very, very nice setup. The festival itself, I think the capacity is 9,000 a day. I would guess it was probably between 7 and 8,000 yesterday. So you would hope to see maybe a little bit of an increase today, but with Sublime being the headliner last night, a lot of Sublime fans there. A lot of people came to see Sublime. That was definitely the dominant merchandise that we saw from the majority of people, which, you can't blame. It's been 30 years, but we'll get into that as well. So we get to the festival, we check in. We didn't get our media passes, which was our fault. We thought that there would be like information like tent inside the festival, but it was actually right at the gate when you walked in. So I went back out to get our media passes, and have that taken care of before everything started. So yeah, we got to see School of Rock first, which if you're not familiar with School of Rock, these are all across the country, kids playing instruments and learning at a young age what it's like to be a musician. So they got to play. Highlight for me is they ended their set with Just by Radiohead. Not a more popular song of theirs, but that was a definitely nice. They did some Nine Inch Nails. They did some. Who else did they do? Yeah, it was a nice set. Then we got the Doll Apartments, which is a band from Rockville, Maryland. I think they're a local band. Pop punk, a little bit of rock and roll. So they were on the main stage. So yeah, there's 2 stages there. They have a side stage, which, was a decent sized stage for a second stage. And then, of course, the main stage. So Doll Apartments were on the main stage. School of Rock was the first band on the side stage. And then we had the real treat of seeing Modern Alibi on the side stage, a band from Charlotte, North Carolina. Um, was looking forward to this set from them. I had listened to them a lot. They definitely did not disappoint, and got to talk to the band afterwards. So hopefully we will have them on the podcast. But Modern Alibi, definitely a highlight of the day. And then we had the Nicotine Dolls, which were not as much on my radar, but my oh my, guys, just like a music festival, you always have a surprise band that blows you away, and Nicotine Dolls were. They did a great cover of Kiss from a Rose by Seal, and then they did Whole Lot of Love by Led Zeppelin. And it was cool how he introduced it. He said, we're going to do a cover song of this little lone band that had maybe a hit, in England. And then they would go into that song. So that was pretty cool. So that was the Nicotine Dolls. Definitely check them out. I forget where they're from. But yeah, awesome. And then another band that we were really looking forward to seeing was the Bends. They are from Louisiana, New Orleans, Baton Rouge area. So, of course, we've got much love for Louisiana. So we got to talk to them afterwards as well. Shared some mutual stories about Louisiana, and hopefully going to get them on the podcast as well. But the Bends, so good. Really, really great, great tight set, and they can rock. So definitely check them out, the Bends. And then we get into more of the heavy hitters. So Judah and the Lion. Judah and the Lion, which I realized was the third time that I've seen this band. Um, and it was cool too. They opened with Suit and a Jacket, which is one of my favorite songs that they do. So it was A, a little surprising, and B, like, hey, let's start off the set with a heavy hitter. So they were great. And they have a new album coming out in August. Um, they said that this was their first show, or that this was the longest time in between shows that they had ever been as a band. So he was just very appreciative to just be in front of an audience again and singing. So great set from them, Judah and the Lion. And then we took a little bit of a break, got some dinner, checked out the merch stand. They had a pretty nice size merch area. Most of the bands that were there for day one were represented. Of course, Sublime, I think, took the lead with the most, but it definitely all of the bands had some opportunity to sell their merch. And then we had a band called Telescreens that played kind of while we were in the distance listening while we were eating. Rock and roll, a little bit more punk as well. They were an add-on because Joe P had to cancel, which I know that was disappointing to some fans, because Joe P's a Jersey guy, and there's a lot of love for him. So it was disappointing that Joe P canceled, but it was nice that they were able to, find a replacement so quickly, because that announcement was only like 2 days ago. And then we had Fitz and the Tantrums, which I think Fitz and the Tantrums I've seen 3 or 4 times now as well. They always bring it. You don't realize with some bands, like once you hear like their set list of like the songs that they play, it's like, man, like I know almost all of those songs. And that was the case with the Fitz set list last night. Definitely leaned toward the heavy hitters and toward the songs that people knew. Some banter in between, but mostly it was strictly just the music. So that was great, and definitely got us grooving and shaking with Fitz and the Tantrums. And then the highlight, or not really the highlight of the day, but what everybody was looking forward to, I think, was the return and I guess the reunion, really, of Sublime. Sublime, the headliner. They played at 9:30 and played until 11 o'clock. To avoid the traffic, we left a little bit early, but not too much. I think we only missed 2 songs from what I saw on setlist.fm. Yeah, I will say for me, waiting 30 years to see them, it was kind of an epiphany. It really was, like, and there were moments in the set where I just kind of got lost, and I just kind of, just remembered all of those times, like when we listened to their first album, and just like that debut album and 40 Ounces to Freedom, and just so many great memories listening or having that band as the soundtrack to our lives for much of my like late teens, early college years. So, but I will say, there were some flubs. They were not perfect. Wrong Way, especially. There was definitely some mistakes in that song. There were a couple other times where it just the rhythms were kind of off. But I must say, like Jacob Noel, Bradley's son, he is the real deal, guys. If you had any doubts that he could take over the reins, they were eliminated last night. He was fantastic. So yeah, and again, not to take away from the performance. The performance is great. You know, again, like the crowd was super into it. Obviously, lots of pot smoke. But yeah, there was definitely some flubs, and it was a little surprising too because they've been touring since basically April, not consistently, but they've been touring since April. So this was not just like a one-off that they hadn't toured in a while. So yeah, so Sublime was the headliner for Let's Go Music Festival, day one, Crownsville, Maryland. Thank you, Liz and Chris, for hooking us up, Adam as well. And we got a lot going on for day two. Surfing for Daisy, Cinema Hearts, Edge Hill, Matt and Kim, and then headliners AJR tonight. So make it out for day two if you can. If not, make it out for next year. This is a great music festival. Looking forward to day two because we had a lot of fun for day one. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us and helps the bands and artists and music festivals that we feature. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Dog. You've been great. This is the Music Lab Podcast.